back into the mods on the Adventure GN. Today I'm going to remove the tail light assembly. So there's this big lens here, the mounting bracket, this big bracket here, and which also includes the number plate bracket. So quite a bit of weight in that. I'm going to replace it with this XR style enduro tail light, which is considerably smaller, lighter. Yeah, it should be a good fit on that fender once I modify a little bit. So in order to get started, we need a 17mm wrench. You can undo one of these upper shock bolts to undo the strap, and then you've got two 12mm bolts on each side which bolt the rest of the seat base down. So with the seat base off, shows us our wiring going to the rear. So there will be two going to the indicators, and then this sort of slightly thicker looking one with the grey, white and black and white 3-pin plug that goes to your tail light. So we'll undo that, unravel the wire, and then we can start unbolting. So then we've just got our 3 bolts mounting the bracket to the fender, 10mm nuts and bolts, so 10mm socket, 10mm spanner. We'll take those off. So as you can see, it's not a small part. It's all thick chrome steel, massive lens, big reflector in there, more brackets. It's really solid. So our weight on the standard tail lamp assembly, 730 grams, so that's really quite big compared to the enduro style tail lamp. It's 116 grams. There's no bulb in there at the moment, and I'll need to get a number plate lamp, so even if it comes out at 200 grams, that's still going to be a loss of about 400 grams off the back. So with all that off, we can have a look how our light is going to look. You can sort of see if we mount it like that, it looks a little strange. It's on maybe a bit too much of an angle. You know, the indicators, don't worry about what the indicators look like at this point, because we'll change those. So one thing I've played with in the past when I changed the wheel is changing the angle of this rear guard. I'm not too interested in cutting it off and making it like a cafe racer rear end, because I don't like having all the mud spray up. So I definitely want to keep a reasonably long rear guard on the back. So one thing I played with was just taking the original guard and changing the angle which is quite easy to do. So you just remove the little bolt 10mm head that goes through from the inside of the guard there. So one on each side, can loosen these up a little bit, and then you just can lift the back end. And you can see as it is, that gives a bit more of a I guess aggressive dirt style rear end. I have had it just bolted like this using some brackets, so you don't even have to cut anything. I have another guard that I've been playing with to make some under seat storage, so instead of drilling holes in this one to mount the light, I'll use the other one. So that's the modified other guard that I have. You can see the angle's a bit nicer. I did make a box underneath for some storage, but it's sort of, it would need to be adjusted a bit because it was rubbing on some of the bigger bumps, so I might just totally redo it from here backwards. So it was basically the original guard, I just cut it off there and welded some extra bit. So to be road legal here, you need to not only have the tail light, brake light, you also need to have a reflector somewhere, a red reflector on the back, and you need to have a number plate light. So this is just one I've pulled off a bike. One of the bikes are in the shed. So I might end up putting that somewhere like that. You can get a little smaller round one maybe, and then I'll have the number plate probably up here for now, but once I've decided I like the fender, I'll probably mount it a bit lower. The front fender, the front and rear tyre are the same size, they're both 18/90/90. So the front fender is about 110mm wide, so it just covers that sort of shape size tyre. This rear fender is 160 wide, so I think I'm going to section that. I think I'll take 30mm out of it, so then the rear fender will be 130 wide, which is still a good size if I want to go upper width, which I might do, and it's gonna maybe not look so chunky on the rear there. So that's the fender with 35mm cut out of the centre of it. It's still the same length as the original, but in that higher position I think it looks a lot better. Being narrower, it flows more nicely with that tyre, and it's still got enough width to cover the next size tyre up. The length is enough to stop any mud getting flicked up in the width, and that light doesn't look so lost on the back now. See, what I'll have to do is make up some spaces to get it in the centre there, obviously weld this up, because I've already cut the front of this fender section off to make that under tray. Before, I'll have to make something else up to join it back up to the front under tray. Probably I'll just weld some tabs on the front and heat mold some plastic or something. I've got another half of a tray, plastic under tray there, that I can use for that. So I think that's a good look. Right, we'll finish off the wiring for the new tail light. See the wires there are too short to join up. That's the plug. So I'm going to cut that plug off, fit a Deutsch style connector, and I will unsolder these and run some new wires. So let's start. So I just do like a electrician splice. So wrapping the wire like that means it doesn't even need solder. You can get away with no solder, and it will, like pulling on it will tighten it rather than pull it apart. Generally, they say on a motorbike, especially a single, you want to crimp it, but I don't know, I haven't had any solders fail like this. So then I just put some heat shrink on. I'll heat shrink all those 3 wires together, run it up through this guard, and then we'll put our other end of our plug on. So we should be good to go, and just click in. So with the glass on, or the lens on, it's not as bright as as I'd like it, so I'll change this bulb pretty soon, but shows it works.